You just joined a new team, you open the code base, and it's 200,000 lines spread across 1,000 files. The people who actually understood it left months ago. There's no map, no docs, just a wall of code and a ticket that's due Friday. Every developer knows this exact feeling. So here's what I want to show you. There's a free open source tool that reads an entire code base for you and then teaches it back to you in plain English, like a senior engineer sitting next to you, explaining how every piece fits together. It works right inside Claude Code, Cursor, Copilot, and more. And in about 6 weeks, it went from zero to more than 60,000 stars on GitHub. So I installed it, pointed it at a real code base, and recorded everything. By the end of this video, you'll be able to understand almost any code base in minutes. Let's get into it. Let's be honest about why this is so hard. Reading code is not the real bottleneck. Understanding it is. When you join a project, the hard questions aren't about syntax. They're about shape. Where does a request actually enter the system? How does data flow from the click all the way to the database? Which module quietly breaks if I touch this one file? That kind of knowledge usually lives in someone's head, and that someone is on vacation or already gone. Now, we've had code visualizers for years, but most of them just dump every file and every arrow onto one screen and call it a graph. The creators of this tool have a perfect line for that. Other tools, they say, show you a hairball. We teach you the code base. And that difference is the entire point. A graph that impresses you with how complex your code is useless. A graph that quietly teaches you how it actually works changes everything. The tool is called Understand Anything. And the pitch is simple. Turn any code base, knowledge base, or set of docs into an interactive knowledge graph you can explore, search, and ask questions about. The origin story is kind of wild. It was built by a single developer, Yuxiang Lin, who goes by Lam on GitHub. He shipped it on his own, and it exploded, going from zero to more than 60,000 stars in roughly 6 weeks. It's now maintained under a group called Egonex-AI, with him still leading the project. It is completely free, it's MIT licensed, and it plugs straight into the tools you already use. Claude Code, Cursor, VS Code with Copilot, Codex, the Gemini command line, and more than a dozen others. One install, and your AI coding assistant suddenly understands the whole repository, not just the single file you happen to have open. Setup is almost insultingly easy. I'll show you the Claude Code path, but it's similar everywhere. The first command registers it, / plugin marketplace add, Egonex-AI / understand anything. The second command installs it, / plugin install, understand anything. And then there's the one that actually does the work, / understand. That's it. You point it at your project and it goes to work, scanning every file, figuring out the structure, and writing plain English explanations as it goes. On a big repo, the first run takes a few minutes, and I'll be completely honest about the cost of that later. But you run that one command, walk away, grab a coffee, and come back to a full map of your entire system. So how does it understand your code without just making things up? This is the clever part. It uses two brains, not one. The first brain is tree sitter, a real code parser. It reads your source the way a compiler does, and it extracts hard facts. Every function, every class, every import, every call. No guessing. The same input gives the same output every single time. The second brain is the large language model. It takes those verified facts and adds meaning. What does this file actually do in plain English? What layer does it belong to? How does it connect to everything else? Most tools pick only one of these. Pure parsers give you structure with no meaning. Pure AI gives you meaning. But it hallucinates structure that isn't really there. Understand? Anything fuses them. The parser keeps the AI honest, and the AI makes the structure make sense. That combination is exactly why the output is both accurate and actually readable. Under the hood, this isn't one giant prompt. It's a team of specialized agents, each with one job, working like an assembly line. The project scanner goes first. It discovers every file and detects your languages and frameworks. The file analyzer then reads each file and turns it into nodes and edges, the dots and lines of your graph. The architecture analyzer groups those into layers, things like API, service, data, and UI. The tour builder generates a guided walkthrough, ordered so that each step builds on the one before it. The graph reviewer checks the whole thing for gaps and broken links. And the domain analyzer maps your code to real business processes. To keep it fast, the file analyzers run in parallel, several files at a time, in batches. It's a whole team of experts, each doing one thing well, assembling a single map together. Now, here's a detail that matters way more than it sounds. When that pipeline finishes, it saves everything into a single file inside your project, a knowledge graph in plain JSON. And that changes the economics completely. Building the graph the first time uses the AI, yes, but exploring it afterward does not. Every time you pan around, search, click a node, or open the dashboard, you are making zero new AI calls. You're just reading a file that already exists. So you can explore your entire code base all day long for free. And it gets better. After that first run, updates are incremental. When your code changes, it only reanalyzes the files that actually changed, not the whole repo again. So you basically pay once and then you just use it. Okay, enough theory. I actually ran this, and here is what came back. Instead of a tangle of 1,000 files, I got this, a clean set of layers. Just look at it, a skill and command layer up top, a state management layer, a UI and presentation layer, an analysis engine, a search and core services layer, a types and schema layer. Each one a tidy box, with lines showing exactly how they depend on each other. In about 10 seconds of looking at this, I understood the shape of a code base I had never seen before. That is the thing reading files one at a time can never give you. You can zoom all the way out for the whole architecture, or zoom into any single layer to see the files inside it. The hairball is gone. This is a map you can actually read. And then it gets personal. Click any node, any file, function, or class, and a panel opens up with a plain English summary of what it does, its tags, how complex it is, and everything it connects to, both upstream and downstream. No more opening a file and praying the names make sense. It just tells you. And the search is genuinely smart. It is not only matching file names, you can search by meaning. I typed in the word analyzer, and it surfaced every relevant piece across the project. The tree sitter plugin, the LLM analyzer, the diff analyzer, even pieces that didn't have that exact word in the name. So when you're hunting for where, say, the auth logic lives, you can just ask for it by concept, and it actually finds it. On top of that core, there are a few features that turn this from a viewer into an actual teacher. First, guided tours. It auto-generates a walkthrough of your code base, ordered by dependency. So it teaches you in the right sequence. Exactly what you'd want on day one. Second, the domain view. It maps your code to real business flows. So you can trace something like, how does a payment actually get processed across every file involved without reading any of them? Third, diff impact analysis. Before you commit a change, it shows you which other parts of the system that change could affect. So you stop breaking things you didn't even know were connected. And fourth, it adapts to you. A new developer gets an onboarding tour. A product manager gets a high-level overview. An AI agent gets a clean structural summary. Same graph, different lens. It'll even do this for documentation. point it at a wiki, and it builds a knowledge graph out of your docs too. So let's make this really concrete. Here are 5 ways to actually put this to work. 1. Day 1 onboarding. Drop into any new repository, build the graph, run the onboarding tour, and skip the usual 2 weeks of total confusion. 2. Understand a feature you didn't write. Use the domain view to trace a flow from end to end before you ever touch it. 3. Refactor without fear. Run the diff impact check before a big change and see the blast radius first. 4. Review open source before you contribute. Clone the repo, build the graph, and ask it where things live instead of getting hopelessly lost. And 5. Turn a pile of messy documentation into a navigable map so your team's knowledge becomes searchable instead of buried. Every single one of these is something that normally costs you hours or even days. Now, I promised honesty, so here's the catch. This is powerful, but it is not magic. And there are 3 things you should know going in. First, the cost. That initial build uses the AI, and on a large code base, it can burn through a real chunk of tokens. If you're on a subscription, it's usually fine, and you can even point it at a free local model to make it basically free. But go in knowing the first run is not zero. Second, it reflects your code as it actually is. If your code base is clean, the map is beautiful. If it's a mess with no naming and no structure, the map will honestly show you that mess. Garbage in, garbage map. And third, privacy. By default, your code gets sent to an AI model to be summarized. If you work somewhere with strict rules about that, use the local model option and check your policy first. Treat the summaries as a brilliant guide, not as gospel. This is a comprehension layer, not a replacement for actually thinking. But honestly, that catch is small next to what you get. For years, the hardest part of software was never writing the code. It was understanding the code that already exists. And a solo developer just made that problem dramatically smaller and then gave it away for free. So stop reading code blind. The link to understand anything is right there in the description. It's free, so go start it and try it on your own project today. Now, to make this dead simple, I put together a free 1-page code-based decoder. The exact commands, the questions to ask of any new repo, and a checklist to get oriented in under a day, with or without this tool. If you want it, just comment the word decode and I'll send it straight to you. And if this helped you out, do 3 quick things. Subscribe here on YouTube and follow Hyperautomation Labs on Facebook and Instagram, where I break down tools like this every single day. My deeper paid guides are linked down below if you want to go further. Now go understand something. I'll see you in the next one.